Hey KJ, so you always put up consistent numbers for your team. So do you have any sort of like process or thing you think about before just so you can go out and perform?
Um, Typically, there's a lot that goes through my mind, but I try to just stay in my own little bubble. Jay tells me a lot to like not overthink because that really like can mess up my gymnastics. So I just kind of have to let my body run through the motions of doing my skills and not really think too much. I don't really go through like a mental set routine or anything like that. I just kind of like let my body do gymnastics and turn my brain off.
How do you think you've progressed? From your freshman year, you had to gain confidence in yourself as a collegiate gymnast. How do you think, as an upperclassman now, that you feel like you're where you are with that in terms of how you contribute to the team and what you can do when you go out there on the floor every time?
Um, Really, in general, I would say Jay. He tells me to just be my normal self, and he tells me all the time that I'm strong, I'm powerful, and that like I can show out on the floor with a lot of badass, type of emotions and things like that. So I've listened to him throughout the years of him coaching me through gymnastics in college, and really like he's helped me gain a lot of confidence of just being myself and giving like a big performance to the crowd.
This team's been consistently scoring 198 or above a couple times this season. Do you feel like this group is starting to kind of find its groove and level out to where you need to be with postseason coming around the corner?
It's definitely a challenge for us. We go, you know, through practice pretty consistently in our inner squads and throughout the meets. Like I think everyone's just kind of in their own little world. We're having fun out there. We're trying not to put too much pressure on ourselves to be perfect. And Jay tells us all the time just to like do our normal gymnastics. And because we're so capable of, scoring 198 and above. And so I really think that this team is capable of like winning the championships this year.
To do that, this is a big meet, right? For Florida, if you the regular season title for what that means, but it's still something that's up for grabs. So, how do you see your role in that? Obviously, yeah, you usually have Kaya and Haley doing the all around, but I'm sure you feel like you've got to go out there and perform well yourself on Friday night for you guys to have a chance. So, what responsibility do you take on yourself, or do you try not to think about it?
The responsibility that I have in my mind is just going out there and hitting my ball and doing my passes on the floor. I think about the things that I try and progress over the week of the previous meet. And so I kind of just pick something to work on throughout the week of practice leading up to the next competition. And I don't really focus on anyone else in gymnastics, because I can't control how people land. I can't control how other people do their gymnastics. So really in general, just focusing on myself and doing what I can to do my best routines out there is the best way I can contribute to the team.
He mentioned Haley and Kaya. So what's it like just being on a team with them? What do you learn from them just as the leaders that they are?
Haley and Kaya, as great leaders as they are, I've known Kaya for a little longer, so, I kind of follow in her footsteps. I want to be a leader. I eventually want to be an all-around competitor. And so just seeing what they do is just, they walk out there with confidence. They always put a smile on their face. They practice through the hard days, even though their body might be hurting, is something that I want to do as well and, be a leader on this team just like them. So really following their footsteps is, my biggest goal.
I remember a feature one of our other writers did on you when you were a freshman and mentioned your car. Is it car or cars? How many cars do you have, or is it just the one?
It was just one.
Okay, is it still the same car?
No.
Oh, what do you have now?
I have a Civic now. My Camaro got stolen.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
So I don't know where it is. I have nothing about.
And I have to ask you. There was nothing in your bio. I said, what does KJ stand for?
Caitlin Johnson. It's just my initials.
Just your initials.
Yeah,
Okay.
it became a nickname in high school when there were too many Caitlins in my class, and I ended up getting my initials for my name.
Okay. Cool.
So. That's how that started.
It took us all a year to ask Angel Reese why she wears a sleeve on her leg. So it's taken us 3 years to ask you about KJ.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
That's it, man. Good job. You can roll.
I can.
Quick and painless, right?
Hey, Coach, what are
Yeah.
some good things that you saw on Friday, and what are some things that y'all still need to work on?
Well, there was a lot of good. A lot of good on Friday. Starting on vault when with Aaliyah switching back to the ear checker 1.5, and she's very comfortable with landing that vault as opposed to the other one we'd been doing. And the fact that her wrist is better, that's a good thing. I thought Sav was strong on 2 events for us. Obviously, Aaliyah doing all 3 events at the level that she did was great. There were so many things, and of course, having the flexibility to be able to pull Kaya out at the last minute and get Liv another one under her belt while also giving Kaya a little bit of rest for those feet. Those were all very positive things that happened. I mean, I think we continue to need to. It's feel like I'm beating the same drum all the time, but we've got to start landing a little better. The interior parts of our routines and the bulk of the routines are great, but with the exception of floor and now beam dismounts have come around, but bars and vault have just been. We just have not really been able to. It's like we're fighting with ourselves a little bit and not really been able to kind of catch any momentum with that. And I know it's going to translate over because I see it every day in the gym. I mean, yesterday we vaulted and they were lights out. They were smoking those landings, and so it'll transfer over. And it's not something that we need to talk about an awful lot. It's just it's just part of the growth process, and we're getting mid-season and a little beyond here pretty quick, and so hopefully those things begin to kind of iron themselves out.
We talked about it a little bit with KJ, but with a matchup this weekend like Florida, what is the message to this team?
Same as it is every week. It really, we do our best. I mean, obviously we know that Florida's a great team, and certainly we look forward to meeting them every year, and we know that they've sort of been on top in the conference over the last several years, and so. But at the same time, it really doesn't make any difference who we're on the floor with. It's really about us taking our next step and trying to improve where we need to improve, and continue to move forward and get better. Our measuring stick is us, and it's as much as you want to win every meet, it doesn't determine a whole awful lot. So it does determine a regular season champion, and we're aware of that, but it's not something that we're spending a lot of time on in conversation or anything. If you start making things, I said this Friday night, if you start making in this sport, if you start trying to find external motivations, you're doomed. I mean, you really have to. It's such an intrinsically motivated and internal mental game that we play with ourselves, that we have to just focus on our own performance and let everything else take care of itself. So there's no magic in a message. There's no different message this week versus any other week. Should be a great environment over there. It's always, historically, it's been a good meet for fans to watch, and I hope we go over there and have a great day, and I believe that we will. I'm growing in confidence with this group week to week to week, and you're beginning to see them get confident themselves, and so, that's the goal. That's it.
I think it was last year. Last year, KJ hurt herself after the meet, that freak injury, right? It was after the Florida meet. Mm-hmm. What you've talked in the past about her, as she said, helping build her confidence. You think she's a great gymnast with great ability, but ability is the only part of it. Obviously, it's a very mental sport. Mm-hmm. How have you tried to bring her along, and what have you seen from her in her 3 years?
I think she said it. The conversations that I have with KJ generally are about her getting out of her own way, because she does have a tendency, if things aren't perfect on a given day, she'll start overthinking a little bit and pressing a little bit, and she's at her best when she's just lets. I mean, she's powerful. Everything. If you think of a word that describes her gymnastics, it's explosive, powerful, those kinds of words, and so she's better off if she just lets her body. I tell her all the time, your body knows how to do the gymnastics. Don't let the brain get in the way and trip you up. Just cut loose, be free, be fearless, and the things that are her attributes that you hear in the way that she says things, and the legendary, sort of KJ personality that's there. When she uses that and it comes through in her gymnastics, that's when she's at her best. And so, just encouraging her not to overanalyze or be hypercritical of herself. She has a tendency to do that, and she's done a great job. She said she wants to be an all-around. She could do the all-around now. It's just she's done a good job on beam. We've taken her off bars on and off just because her back gets a little sensitive sometimes, but she's done a great job of developing through the years, and a lot of times doesn't get the credit she deserves, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, sort of flies under the radar, but goes out there on 2 events almost every time. She did beam for us a good bit last year, and probably will end up doing it again at some point, but goes out there and goes 9-9 or better almost every single time she goes out there. And so, I'm glad she got in here to speak to you all a little bit, because I think, she's a unique but intricate, very, very vital part of what we do, and in the personality of our team. She's pretty special.
Coach, 198s this season, all at home. Is the next step for this team being able to score like that on the road, especially this week at Florida?
I mean, I don't know if it's not about a score. Can we perform that way on the road? Because to this point we haven't. Like, we have not been as clean on the road when we've gotten on other people's equipment and in other people's gyms. That doesn't mean we won't be. We're going to have to be, at some point when you get to the postseason and that kind of thing. So it's really just about continuing to improve our performance. Yeah, I think being at home, we perform a little better, and that's great for our confidence and should propel us to the next step and kind of up our game a little bit in terms of our execution level. But you never know until you get down there. We do talk about making sure that we make our adjustments quickly in warm-ups, and if something doesn't feel right, that we make the adjustments quickly. They're all experienced enough to be able to knock that out and not allow for something to become a distraction. That's when it's a problem, is when you get into warm-ups or something and things don't feel right, or you don't like a certain piece of equipment or something, and if it becomes a distraction, if somebody can't get it together, that's when it can potentially be that. So the idea is for us to just not create distractions for ourselves and continue to improve our level of performance.
Beam was a highlight last week as it tied the program record history, or not history, but score.
Yeah.
Do you think that was just them building confidence, or what do you think kind of went into that?
I think it's just a natural progression of this group. They're talented on all 4 events. I think sometimes, it just takes a minute for everybody to kind of find their stride. Some of that's the way we paced them this year. It was a little different than what we'd done in the past, and I think they've really come together. I don't know if it's 4 or 5 meets now straight where they really kind of dialed it in. I think we've, Alyssa could tell me, but we've probably been 49-4 or better for 4 or 5 straight meets now, and and when they're all dialed in, particularly those back 4. It's a pretty impressive balance beam, really. He's got one.
As you said, you had to pull Kaya off a floor, or felt it was best to pull her off a floor, and Connor only did the one event. I know it's only Monday, but how do you foresee their availability for this meeting?
Well, the whole point of both of those decisions was to have them available this week. We said back in the fall we wanted to find places where we could to rest bodies and give other people experience and all of the above. And so it worked out that last weekend we were able, Connor's back was not horrible, but it was enough that it had been a problem since Georgia a little bit. So it gave her time to kind of really recover and just do the one event. And then with Kaya, we went into it with her in the all around, but hoping we would get in a situation where we could pull her out and not do floor. We really don't have a lot of flexibility on vault right now, and I'm hopeful and I believe that Chase and Cammie and a couple of the others are going to be able to step up and give us a couple more good options there. But the one place we've had some flexibility, or two places, are beam and floor, and so being able to use that on Friday night was beneficial. It really was not. It wasn't whether Kaya was available; she could have gone. So I don't anticipate there being a setback, but you never know. Like you say, and you hear me say it all the time. It's Monday. Talk to me on Thursday about lineups because it's so many things are fluid, especially over the last year and a half. Seems like we've always got something going on. Well, they call them the leg events, right? So vault and floor are probably the most ballistic in terms of the impact on the body. Yeah. So we we don't train those two on the same day in terms of heavy numbers and the impacts that it takes on their joints and their backs, and so it's probably the ones that produce the most wear and tear. Bars and beam, you can probably do significantly more numbers without hurting people, unless it's a foot thing. I think her foot started bothering her as mainly on beam, but then it just kind of carried over to other things. So it just was eliminating a couple of impacts on floor that hopefully got it calmed down. All right. Thank y'all.